We got Concert, O'Reilly, Mark Gouy. Gouy, I think I called him at the start. I have no problems with O'Reilly. I think top player. The only issue I may have with the O'Reilly situation is how England play. So how Pep plays suits O'Reilly, gets in the box, scores a lot of goals. Will England play him like that? I don't think so. I think we'll be more defensive. Spence. Now, what I've done is I've done a red, amber, green on players. So the first three players there I mentioned to you, Conser, O'Reilly and Mark Gouy, I've put them in green, as in, yeah, I would have took them. Spence. So Jed Spence. I mentioned to my dad about 2 weeks ago, as I said, he's a massive Sunderland fan. I said to my dad, if I was Sunderland, you know what I'd sign Jed Spence. He has connections with Middlesbrough, haven't played there. He wasn't really getting into Tottenham. And I said the last couple of weeks, like towards the end of the season for Tottenham, I was starting to see things like his speed. I was starting to see him making an impact, a positive impact. And I said, we all know there's a player in there. I mean, he's had a great youth career and making his way through the ranks. He could be a very good player. So when Tuchel picked him, it was funny because I said to my dad, we were just talking about him the other week, and I was saying I was really impressed how he was playing. Jed Spence, he's fast, he's still got growth in his game, and he's caught my eye towards the end of the season, so I'm not too worried about that one. Dan Burn, let's be honest, min crack. He's versatile, obviously he can cover the full-back, he plays centre-half, that helps understanding the positions if he does ever come on in centre-half and he knows how to cover. He can probably see dangers quicker than others. He's good in the air, he's good on corners. Absolute legend of a guy. You know that just off what you've seen on the social medias with Newcastle. I personally don't have a massive issue with Dan Burn going, but he'd probably be in the amber for me of the touch and go. And I've also put Reece James in the amber purely because of his lack of fitness, but in the comments I've wrote he's worth a punt. He's worth a punt. For a lot of people, Reece James would be like, yeah, he's a green, he's straight, he's in the squad, there's no doubt about that, but I'm not too sure. I think he hasn't had much game time, and bear in mind the conditions you're going to, they are not good conditions for someone who's not had a lot of game time. It's going to be, God knows, 35 degrees, 40 degrees over there. It's going to be very hard for people to get fit if you have to get fit over there. Also in the amber eye concert, and this is purely me, this is just my opinion, and again, I'm just throwing it out there, it's taken on faith. All the pros, everyone who you kind of respect in the game are saying how well he's had, how good of a season he's had, and if he has had such a good season, then if Liverpool does have any kind of buyback clause, they should activate it for me, because, you know, we're desperate at centre-half, especially now Konate is gone. Quansah, in the Premier League, again, another player where you saw some games he was like really good, and then other games he'd make big mistakes. I'm kind of shocked he's in the squad, but I can't totally give a full summary of him or back up my reason not to take him or to take him purely because I haven't seen enough of Quansah. But if I'm going off what I saw in the Premiership, he wouldn't be in my squad. But if he's had such a good season abroad in Germany, then, you know, you've got to trust the manager. He knows German football. He's obviously seen something that I haven't, should I say. Livramento, he's not the same since he's come back. He's in red for me. Livramento is someone who I wouldn't have took, purely because of what I said at the start, how they took Lewis Hall. And John Stones, top lad. He's been an absolutely fantastic player and an absolutely top baller, but he's in red for me. He's unfit. He looked rusty in the last game. We saw him, made a mistake for the goal, I thought, which I think was against Aston Villa. Great. Another one of them was great around the dressing room, but is that enough to get you onto the plane? I don't know. Not for me, but I understand what Tuchel's saying. He can play defensive midfield. He's got, you know, great passing ability. I just think he's a bit slow, personally, and I think he's a bit unfit for the job. He hasn't enough football for me. But I'm not massively bothered about him going in the wave. I'm not saying, oh, he shouldn't be there. Like, yes, I have marked him in red because I think there's Maguire who's missed out, and as I said, Lewis Hall's missed out, and probably Stones and Livramento will be the two I'd swap. We move on to the midfield anyway, so Elliot Anderson, green for me, goes without saying. You know, everyone's after him. He's going to be an expensive purchase for whoever goes with him. Also in green, we've got Bellingham. Hasn't had the greatest season at Real Madrid, but towards the end he was picking up a little bit. He scored a good goal, which will have lifted his confidence as well in the last game. Rodgers, he's come to the boil at the right time. For me, he's not the automatic number 10, even though a lot of people believe he's now, answered all the questions. That's the guy who needs to be there. For me, I'd still go with Bellingham, but I don't see why they couldn't play Bellingham and Rodgers together. And then Declan Rice, green. Along with Eze, I've put Eze as green as well. Eze, I think Jared Bourne and Eze were kind of the two who were probably fighting for a spot in this squad. For the type of players they are, can make an impact. I know Eze plays on the wing. Eze plays central, and Bourne's probably more on the wing. But Eze is kind of the person who I just think there's more goals in him, and I think he's more of over Bourne. I just think he's more of that big game player. Should we get into the latter stages, he's someone who you could put on. You could maybe do something. Was there any replacements? Well, for me, Henderson, absolutely fantastic player in his time. He's had a great career. I'm a Liverpool fan, Henderson, it wasn't easy for him, Liverpool. When Klopp come in, if you remember, he dropped him for a little bit and then brought him back, and he had to basically win his place back in the Liverpool team. He did more than that. He took us to success. Great captain, great bloke. You just know that. He's one of them who, a bit like John Stones, you want round the guys, but does that warrant him being on the plane? For me, no. I don't think he's pulled up trees for Brentford. I think he's been a very steady, safe player for Brentford. And I think that would be the same thing. And I don't think he'd let us down. But I think if results didn't go our way, or there was a bad performance, and if he was in the team, sadly, I think he'd be the one who would probably take the flak. But he's big enough to take it. I hope he proves us all wrong, because I love Jordan Henderson. But for me, he could have been an option like Jason Steele, and he could have supported in different ways. But obviously, Thomas Tuchel really likes him, and he's gone with him. Again, when you think of the players who's missed out, who he could have took, you're talking about Palmer, you're talking about Foden, you're talking about Gibbs-White probably in that position, being honest. I just think, personally, there was better options with that world class could change a game. Skill set. But listen, I'm happy to be proven wrong, and I hope he does prove me wrong, because, I absolutely love Henderson. Being a Liverpool fan, absolutely adore him. And he will be good around the squad. He will push them. But did he need to take up a place to do that? I'm not too sure.